Welcome to episode 74 of Shane Talks. It is our fourth annual Star Wars May the 4th episode. We've had some pretty spectacular guests on in previous years. As always, Jason L. Mayer is joining me as the greatest co-host on the history of the planet. We are joined this month by the Mandalorian himself and one of Jason and I's long time friends, Mr. Drew Stafford. How are you doing, sir? Welcome to the podcast.
Doing great, gentlemen. Thank you for having me today.
Dude, absolutely. Number one, there's nobody else I would rather have on here playing as a Star Wars talking person with us than the man who played Luke Skywalker himself. We'll get to that in a second, actually. Let's do a little history with us. 20 plus years ago, Jason and I made a movie that Jason wrote and directed. It was about Hitler, and you played young Hitler for us. What were you, like 13, 14 at the time?
Oh, yeah.
2000?
No, I was actually middle school, so I was probably about 12,
Okay.
11, 12 years old.
Right on. So you played Hitler for us in that. And Jason knows your family very well through you doing that film for us. Your dad was in the movie also, so I got to meet your dad and mom at that point. I knew one of your sisters from high school not very well, but I got to know your parents really well while we were doing that movie. Give us a Stafford family update. How were the parents? How were the sisters?
Oh, everybody's doing great. I actually just went home a few weeks ago for my mom's birthday to surprise her.
Awesome.
And I got to spend the Easter holiday. So a quick trip home was very much needed. Everybody's doing great. My nieces and nephews are doing amazing. They're running around like crazy, all grown up and whatnot.
Awesome.
So,
very cool. So now my question, tell us what you can. So full disclosure, Mr. Stafford does work for the House of the Mouse for Disney down in Florida. And at one point, when Disney first purchased Star Wars, you got to play Luke Skywalker himself. So I understand throughout our discussion there may or may not be things you are or are not allowed to talk about. Just let us know if there's anything you can't say when we get to anything. But what can you tell us was the best part about playing Luke Skywalker?
Just the amount of fans that would come and hang out with us, basically, is what we did. We do what would be called sets, and the amount of people that would come through the line from all over the world, in fact, would be absolutely mind-blowing sometimes. I had people from England, I had people from all over Europe, all over the country, Canada, all the way from Asia, Japan, China. They came from everywhere. It was fantastic. And we all shared a love of Star Wars. And one of my favorite things is it was basically a huge Comic-Con, and Star Wars weekends was. And it was just so much fun to see the characters that people would bring from the films and the series and stuff like that. And that's where I also was educated on a lot more Star Wars lore, basically, doing that. And it was just an outstanding opportunity. I was blessed enough to do it twice. And it was something that will always go down in history in my career.
Very cool. So I know there was the big famous viral video about Darth Vader and the stormtroopers doing their dance. Did you have anything to do with that at all?
That was Hyperspace Hoopla.
Okay.
That was something that was at the end of every night that we did. And I was fortunate enough to actually be one of the darker characters. I won't say who I was, but
okay, very awesome. I was
very fortunate to play one of the darker characters on stage, and
dude, that's awesome
as well. So that was a lot of fun.
Because you did come from dancing in high school.
I did indeed. I'm a singer, dancer, actor by trade, and I was very lucky enough to stumble upon this role of Luke Skywalker at Disney.
Very awesome. So aside from your Disney characters that you play at the park, have you done any kind of like theater or not well, either theater or acting productions, film productions down there?
No, I've actually just stayed mainly at the parks.
Right
there's a lot of opportunities there. I bounce back and forth between Universal and here. I worked there for a few years, and I plan on going back in the future coming up as another opportunity for me.
Any big characters that you got to play?
And I'm sorry.
Over at Universal, is there any big characters you got to play over there?
I was lucky enough to be a part of the Hogwarts team. I did the Hogwarts Tri-Wizard Rally.
Oh, cool.
and I was part of the Durmstrang crew.
Very cool, dude. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it was a
All
lot of
right.
fun.
Dude, thank you so much for being on here. I'm really excited to get to chat with you about all kinds of
Of
stuff and
course.
catch up with you tonight. Section number 1 of our podcast is called Coming Attractions. We ask our guests, well, we all answer the question eventually, but what is something that is coming up soon that you are just really excited about? So go ahead and start us off, Drew.
Oh man, something exciting is coming out.
Movie, video game, TV show, anything that you saw a trailer for recently, the next Marvel
Well,
movie.
I haven't played it yet, but Hogwarts Legacy. That
That's
is one
one,
thing. I know it's
yeah,
already come out. I
mhm.
know that um, so I know I'm kind of backtracking on that one.
No,
Sorry.
that's one I haven't. I'm not willing to pay full price for it, but down the road when it goes on sale, I'm definitely in to give that a try and see what
I
it's like.
gotcha.
But $90 for that, like I'm a quasi Harry Potter fan. Never read the books, just watched the movies. I enjoy them for what they are. But yeah, when that game goes on sale, I'll give it a try.
No, of course. Actually, what I'm excited for is Ahsoka that's coming out soon.
Oh yes, absolutely. Jason,
Yeah,
what about you?
the
What's
trailer
oh go ahead.
trailer was absolutely amazing, and just the fact that they're pulling so much stuff from Clone Wars
Oh
and
yeah.
Rebels, and they're merging them. And Thrawn, bro, Thrawn.
Yep.
Ooh.
Dude, so excited. And we'll get to that down the road when we're actually talking more Star Wars stuff. But yeah, man, something that, what it's almost 30 years ago now when we read the Heir to the Empire books, because that was all we had outside of the original trilogy. Like, yeah.
Right.
Jason, what's coming up for you that you're excited about?
There's a movie called Hypnotic that's coming out with
You
Ben Affleck. Sorry if I stole yours, but I'm the one who showed you that trailer
I
or
was
told
gonna give you credit that you did, but you definitely stole mine. That's what I have written down as what I'm excited about.
Yeah, yeah, Hypnotic is definitely like, what's even funnier is I was like, right before I said it, I was like, this is gonna be Shane's.
Oh yeah, it
Just
is.
because that's how you and I work. So,
Yep.
but yeah, a new Affleck movie coming out. It doesn't look like it's going to be like the best movie by any means, but it just looks like it's somewhat entertaining to me. So I would, jump online if you haven't seen the trailer, watch the trailer, and he's kind of in the realm of The Rock for me, where it's like in Tom Cruise, where it's like you might not pick the best movie, but it's entertaining most of the time. So let's go. Like it's one of those moments where I'm like I'm on board for whatever Ben Affleck does usually. So
100% agree. I do give you credit. You're the one that showed me the trailer. I hadn't seen it before you texted it to me. And then we've seen it a couple of times in the theaters. The last couple of movies we've gone to, it's been on those movies we've seen. Like it looks good. I love William Fichtner, especially when he plays a bad guy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I am sure there's going to be some big major twist at the end involving his daughter and something. I hope it doesn't ruin the movie because the trailer makes it look really awesome.
yep, I agree. So
All right. Section number 2 of the podcast now. We do My First Time. Originally titled Virgin Viewing. It is something that you have not or you've seen recently for the first time. It doesn't have to be brand new. It just has to be you just saw it for the first time. We'd say in the last, well, for Drew, the last month or two, Jason and I, the last month. So, Drew, what is something recently that you've seen for the first time? Whether you enjoyed it or not, let us know how you feel about or felt about it.
The wife and I literally just saw Mario, um, and it was a lot better than I was expecting.
It was a lot of fun. You
It
really
was,
enjoyed
and
it.
it was very nostalgic. I love the fact that every now and then they would do the horizontal look, and it would look like they were playing the game and stuff like that.
Yep.
That was just so much fun, and uh, just the fact that Chris Pratt, he really impressed me, and yeah, the fact that he carried that so well, but like also threw in the Mario, like the original Mario voices that we know and love
Yep.
every now and then. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't. We had a great conversation about this in the dressing room the other day. We're just like, would you really want to hear the Mario voice for almost 2 hours, just going "Eat some like 5 billion times"? No, you wouldn't. So that's why I think it worked out very well. And also, just Jack Black. Oh my gosh. Like,
So I don't know how popular this is online. Somebody sent it to me, but somebody took the Peaches song and turned it into Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up version of it, and I thought that
oh
was
yeah,
spectacularly well done.
I've seen that, and I've seen one that where they take a old Tenacious D song and
Oh,
dub it
really?
over. Yeah,
Nice.
I thought it was hilarious. I saw a video where he actually made a music video where he's like got his hair done like Bowser. It's like
No way.
super, super red, and he's
that's
like,
fantastic.
and it's
Oh
him
my God.
emoting through everything. It was fantastic to watch. Just, yeah, definitely recommend finding that version of Peaches. So,
Well, and I
Oh,
felt really
fantastic.
dumb. I went and saw the movie with Jason and his family, my first viewing, their second viewing. And when the movie got over, I leaned over to Jason and I was like, man, when they make the live action version of this movie, I really want Meatloaf to play Jack Black's character. And then Jason was like, Meatloaf, who's already passed away. And I was like, I'm dumb.
Touche.
Yeah, well, but the whole movie, he did a good job making me feel like he was playing a Meatloaf character throughout that film.
all right. So, Shane, what's the first time for you, man?
Oh man, this is going to be no surprise as we've already talked about Ben Affleck once, but I saw the movie Air twice, and it is absolutely one of my favorite movies, and one of my favorite movies of the year, one of my favorite movies recently. Soundtrack is the best soundtrack I've heard since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. It's all 80s music, it's all the stuff that was already on my playlist, but it was all put together really well done. I went and saw the movie for a second time. Jason and I saw it for the first time, and then I took a buddy of mine's son to go see it because he really wanted to see it. And the movie plays just as well the second time. Also, it actually goes by a lot faster the second time. Like we literally got to the point where I was like, "Oh wow, they're already designing the shoe. Like this movie's flying by." But I highly recommend Air. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, it's Ben Affleck. I like the character he plays, but like Matt Damon really, really carries this movie. And really just, I don't know. I just really enjoy it. What about you, Jason?
Doesn't hurt that you're this like crazy Jordan fan and
Sure.
a Ben Affleck fan and a Matt
Yep.
Damon fan. It's like
Yep.
wow, like you just literally had a nerdgasm when it came to that.
Everything came together.
The
Oh,
perfect
Everything
marriage.
came together perfectly. When they announced when they announced the movie, like, anybody that's listening to the podcast knows that I usually bash biopics pretty hard. I'm not a biopic fan. And it's usually because a lot of the biopics that like I go and watch, they're like okay, but then when I read the stories afterwards about like what the real story was, I'm like, I hate what Hollywood does to try to dramatize. Like, why can't you just tell somebody's story without? The one that Jason and I always talk about that I bring up is what's the name of the racing movie? Jason, I'm drawing a blank
Rush.
on it. Rush. So the movie Rush has these two characters that like are like throughout the movie they make you think that they hate each other and they're like these evil enemies, and then when you read the real story, they were like best friends who lived together, who were pushing each other to just each try to make each other better. And I'm just like, why couldn't that have been a good movie about two friends that were helping each other instead of this movie about two guys that they made you think hated each other? So like biopics, most of the time I don't like them. So when they announced this, I was like, oh, why are two guys that I love making a biopic? Especially after they just made a biopic about France that I had zero interest in whatsoever. Um, but yeah, so I was very skeptical about it, but then even in a lot of the press for it, Ben Affleck flat out said he was like, "This isn't the real story about what happened. Like, we took all the rumors, we took all the stories we heard, and we just kind of made our own movie out of it." Um, Apparently, the guy who wrote the script, it was like his passion project for like 10 years. He just kind of slowly worked on it, and then when COVID hit and The Last Dance came out, he said he watched The Last Dance and was like, "That's my sign that I need to actually finish this script." So he finished it, got it in the hands of Ben and Matt, and then apparently there was multiple rewrites that happened to it and whatnot. And the good story that the writer told on one of the shows that, or one of the interviews I saw on YouTube, he said that like halfway through production, he went to the set one day and Ben Affleck pulled him aside and he was like, "Hey, I just want to make sure that you know that like a lot of people have rewritten the script and whatnot, but I'm gonna make sure that you get sole credit on this because this is your project and you're the one that made this happen and stuff like that." So I just thought it was pretty dope for like it's one of his like I think it's his first feature film that he's written. I think he's like written television or something like that. But like I don't know, just makes me love Ben Affleck more.
Uh,
Jason,
for
what's
his
yours?
first time, I'm gonna say the latest episode of Ted Lasso.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm always in for Ted Lasso.
Like,
Yes.
oh wow.
Dude, and you texted me last week, on the East Coast, it drops at 9 o'clock. It was like 9:45 because I had started the episode like 10 minutes late. It was like 9:45, and you texted me, you're like, oh my God, this episode was so good. I'm like, bro, I've still got like 10 more minutes. Don't spoil anything. I was
Yeah,
surprised I didn't hear from you this week because I thought this week's episode was even better than last week's.
I will agree. Did you want? Are you caught up, Drew?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, and
I
side note, sorry. Side note, on FIFA 23,
Mhm.
they have AFC Richmond, and you can be AFC Richmond.
Absolutely.
That's
My
awesome.
ultimate team has my regular ultimate team has Ted Lasso as my coach, and then
Yes.
I have an all England team that I have, and Beard is their coach.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I definitely love rocking the AFC Richmond kits and the logos and stuff like that on FIFA. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But
Jason,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. The latest episode is just another one that just kicks it up for me.
It does.
Like it's just going really, really well. I hope they can keep that momentum going. I know that they talked about season 3 being their last season. I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping they can get one more season in. But I obviously don't want them to like sacrifice good writing and all that just to give me another season. If they can wrap this up in this season, I'm fine with it. It's just that I like for the first season, I loved for how positive and happy it made you feel through the whole thing. Second season was a little bit of a downer, but that was the whole point of the second season, in my opinion. And then this one, it's just like I'm seeing this culmination, and it just feels good while watching it. So I'm happy with how it's progressing. I could if they could write it this well forever, I would watch it forever. But we all know that there's always a ticking time clock on television shows. So I'm glad that we're getting what we get. So
here would be my pitch for it. They've always said that Jason Sudeikis is the one who has seen this as a 3-act story for Ted Lasso. I would be 100% happy if Jason is too busy, has to come back to America, has to do his own thing, and we just get an AFC Richmond show. Spin-off show like Frasier to Cheers, just call it AFC Richmond. You don't have Ted Lasso anymore. But Brett Goldstein is one of the writers on the show, plays why am I drawing a blank on Roy Kent? Thank you, on Roy Kent. But
he's
yeah,
he's everywhere.
But yeah, so you could just literally do an AFC Richmond show as long as you could get everybody else to sign on. Beard could stay or go if he wanted to. I know he's written at least one episode every season, but like you've still got a lot of talented people that like Jason Sudeikis doesn't write the show. Like I'm sure he gives ideas for the overall story and whatnot, but I don't remember the last time I saw his name as a writer on the show. So you could literally keep this talented group of writers that they've got, have Bill Lawrence continue to produce it, and just give me an AFC Richmond show, whether that means eventually bringing back the Wunderkind to coach, or having Roy Kent coach, or having Beard stay and be the coach, however you decided to do it. I love those characters, and I love everything that they've done with the story, and so I would be happy with a spinoff even if it didn't involve Ted himself.
Totally agree.
That'd be fantastic.
Because then we still get that love for that community, and like the kids, and like I loved how like the first training session, like 3 of the kids were there, and then every training session after you saw that the crowd was getting bigger. I thought that was pretty cool. Like they're just doing so many phenomenal things with that show that even if Jason has to step away to go be his Hollywood self, then I would hope they could find a way to keep the show going. And all right, so we have now reached our halftime point. I have no idea what Troy has in store this month for his halftime talk, so let's send it over to future Shane and future Troy and see what they have to talk about. Thank you, Shane. You guys have been having a great episode so far. I'm really excited to get to the Mount Rushmore part next. But until then, we have my favorite part of every single month's episode, Troy's halftime talk, baby, and I can't wait to see what Troy has to say about Star Wars this month. So, Troy, it's our 4th annual May the 4th episode. May the 4th be with you. What kind of Star Wars talk do you have for us this month?
I'd just like to add that this is also my favorite part of every episode. So we're in agreement about that.
Yeah, best part.
As for Star Wars, yeah, I've got nothing. I hate Star Wars.
Oh
Uh,
no, 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 no,
much
no.
much like the cultural void that is Star Wars, it's the mental void that it's left me with. Like I have no I've got nothing to really offer this halftime first quarter pep talk. It's probably not a pep talk. And yeah,
Not sounding
what
like
can I
one to
say?
me.
Yeah, no, I hate the way that they have they have like you know, co-opted May the 4th. Doesn't even sound like May the Force be with you. May the Force be with you. Like,
Yeah, May the 4th.
cool, man. Is it Star Wars? Like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like,
It is Revenge of the 5th also. Tomorrow,
oh my
Revenge of
god,
the
dude,
5th.
leave De Mayo alone. Some bullshit. And you people took it over, and it's a bunch of crap. And I
Hey,
hate Star Wars.
I don't celebrate the Sith holiday. Then there's the Sith of May. They also have. So like you,
The Sith is a made up character, isn't he?
I
Did he
mean,
even exist in the first three?
it's not a he. It's the Dark Jedi or Sith Lords.
Cool. I didn't realize there was like a whole caste system of like,
Yeah, like you got the Jedi and you've got the Sith, good guys, bad guys,
hmm,
or misunderstood guys. If you want to, like, as far as Disney's doing it now, Sith doesn't necessarily mean bad anymore. It just means misunderstood.
well, good for them. Like, you know, like loosen the morals a little bit. So yeah,
uh,
you're obviously super fan.
yeah, I like Star
So
Wars.
why don't we just like May the 4th be with you? You got four things you want me to talk about on Star
Oh,
Wars?
okay, all right, okay. Like you want me to ask you 4 questions about Star Wars?
If you want to do it that way, fine.
Okay, okay.
I got stuff to say.
So there are nine. Oh, actually, I mean, I guess there's like 11 official Star Wars movies. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Was there an Ewoks movie that was made for TV when we were
Oh,
kids?
okay. Like if you want to add those, there's more than the like official theatrical 11 that I'm thinking of. But yes, you were correct. There was two Ewok movies. I think they were made for HBO. Uh, Battle for Endor and Ewok Adventures, maybe. There were two feature length Ewok movies that were made.
Yeah. I would probably go with one of those.
Okay. Yeah,
Ewoks are adorable.
I can't remember the plot of either one of them. I know I've seen them. But yeah, I don't
One
remember the
of them
plot
is
of either one
about
of them.
Ewoks like fighting off bad guys, and that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I do remember that part of it. Okay.
Wub wub.
Of all of the characters in Star Wars, do you have a favorite character?
Uh, uh Probably the aforementioned Ewok.
Okay. What, like
But
any
seeing as how,
specific Ewok?
yeah, I don't know their names. I'm sorry. Like, um, no, we'll just go with Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, okay. Do you even remember watching episode one? Have you ever seen episode one?
Oh man, I saw episode one like a couple of times when it was out because that came out
Okay.
like right when I was like 18ish, I want to
Yep.
say.
19 May of 1999. May
And so me
19th of 1999.
me and Mike Scott, man, we would just like steal a bunch of warm beer from the job he worked at O'Malley's at the time.
Okay.
And like and then we would go and drink our warm beers and then we would go to the movies. And I saw that movie like several times that summer and it was really boring and it was pretty awful. And it was definitely like a waste of warm beer.
So real
But
quick,
Jar Jar Binks
shout out to
shout out
Mike
Jar Jar
Scott.
Binks for always making me laugh. And
No,
shout out
whatever.
Mike Scott
Shout out
for
to Mike
always
Scott.
making me laugh too.
Absolutely, that was one of the funniest dudes I ever knew. Did you know Mike Scott before Castleton Arts, or did you meet him through Castleton Arts?
No, I met him. We worked at the record store together when I was like in
Awesome,
high school. Um,
awesome.
and then he got a job at Castleton Arts, like as a second job, like when we
Okay,
were working together. I think at Castleton, the Waves Music in Castleton.
cool. Right on.
Yeah,
Very cool. Really Awesome dude. We have great memories about that guy.
Yeah, shout out Mike Scott.
Shout out to Mike Scott. Have you shown Maple any Star Wars content, movies, or anything?
No,
No?
because that would also require me watching them.
Okay.
Full
all right.
disclosure, like I have not seen any of the new. I have not seen any of the last 5 theatrical releases.
Okay. Okay.
So, like the last one I actually saw was Pod Race with Jar Jar Binks.
No, you're wrong about that. The last 5 releases were episode 7, 8, 9, Solo, and Rogue One. So those were the last 5. So if you episode 1, 2, and 3, so if episode one's the last one,
that's Star Wars: Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, right?
Those are the original ones. And then
Yeah.
episode 1 was Phantom Menace. Episode 2 was I'm drawing a blank on episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and
See,
then
okay.
episode 3 is Revenge of the Sith.
This is like part of my whole problem, right?
Yep. The numbering system.
You guys started on 4, 5, and 6.
Yep. Jumped back to 1, 2, and 3.
Like
Finished up with
20
7, 8,
some odd
9.
years, 20 some odd years later.
Almost exactly 20 years later. Yep.
And you don't think this is like a little bit of like a house of cards that you guys have built over the years? Just kind of this like insulated little like, I don't know, man. It's like this movie wanted to be like, I guess what it has become.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the blatant.
I mean, if you want to get more confusing, so it went 4, 5, 6, and then it went 1, 2, 3, and then it went 7, 8, 9, and then it went like 3.5 and then 4.5 because they threw in 2 movies that were in between some other movies.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's lots of holes to clean up.
There are, but luckily they've got like 11 seasons of an animated series that fill in a lot of the holes also.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Probably Empire Strikes Back. I think
that's the second one.
The second one of the original one, so episode 5.
Chronologically.
Yeah, well, I mean, chronologically, it's 5, 6, 7.
Human chronology.
Release date chronology. It was the second film released
like,
in 1980.
Here on Earth.
All right, so I mean, this is probably going to be a dumb question for my 4th one. I feel like I'm wasting my 4th question, but do you have any happy memories as a little Troy watching the original 4, 5, and 6 movies? Did you watch them with your mom? Did you watch them with friends? Did you just not give a shit about sci-fi at all back then?
Okay, like, here's my deal with the Star Wars, right?
Yep.
The first Star Wars movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Convince me that that's not just like a robot and a little trash can robot lost in a desert, walking around a desert for like an hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, on character development.
Whose characters?
I mean, if that was in a Kurosawa film, you wouldn't be talking shit about it.
Well, if it was in a Kurosawa film, like it wouldn't be just a guy going like beep 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 beep. It's like, oh yeah, I feel you, dog. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, first of all, the robot is like beige colored, and it's like the desert. The desert is beige colored, and it's just like this monochromatic like eyesore. It's just like gross, and it's just like this inspires like the generation of like sci-fi honks to like do what they do, and I'm like, how? Like, this is just like the most boring piece of shit.
Oh no, Troy. No, like you never had the Princess Leia fantasy when you were a kid? No, the Princess Leia in the gold bikini?
I'm good, man.
Oh man, okay, all right. Well, I'm sorry for your childhood. I'm sorry for whoever hurt you and made you not love space romance. Is there a better space romance movie you could recommend?
A better space romance. That is That's a real jackass question. um, I'm trying to think, man. I'm sure there is somewhere. Um,
This is what happens when we don't script before we get on to do this together.
I was never gonna script for Star Wars, man. I was never gonna give it my time. It's had like 40. It's had like 50 years in the sun. It's fine. I'm happy you people have your little holiday. I don't care. I don't think. Let me ask you a question. Like, how do you feel like? Because just from an outsider's perspective, like, and it could be because of like the death of like the monoculture, or just kind of like Marvel kind of coming in and like existing in the same like a similar space, but like I feel like the Star Wars is not as like all encompassing in popularity as it was when we were younger, and it seems to be like more of like a niche entertainment these days. Like, I mean, it's still very popular. Yeah. It's still like what it is, but like I just don't feel like it's like the cultural behemoth that like it once was. Or is that just like me not giving a shit and just being like oblivious to it?
I think it toes the line a little bit both ways. I think a lot of Star Wars I don't think Star Wars brings in people like it used to. I think a lot of the people that are Star Wars fans now are ones that have been Star Wars fans their whole life. I don't think
because people are just like, damn, this TikTok video took like 4 hours and it's just a trash can robot walking across the desert.
So I think the younger generation now that do like Star Wars or care about Star Wars are like influenced by their parents. Like, Jason's shown it to his kids and like they like it, and like my buddy Chris has shown it to his kids, and I know that they're big fans of it. So like I think a lot of the younger people that I know now that like Star Wars are because their parents liked it. As far as like just bringing in a new audience of people, I don't think it's like what it used to be. I think so. Like back when episode 1, 2, and 3 came out, they were not very well received by people of like our generation, because we grew up with 4, 5, and 6. We loved it, and we didn't really like what George Lucas did with 1, 2, and 3. 20 years removed.
They hated on that Jar Jar Binks.
They did hate Jar Jar Binks. 20 years removed
Free Jar
from
Jar.
it now. Jar Jar's kind of gotten a little bit of redemption through some comic books and stuff like that. They kind of, I mean,
Misa's glad to hear it.
but I think Star Wars requires a little bit of separation over time, because I don't hate 1, 2, and 3 like I used to hate them 20 years later. It's Star Wars. It was what it was. I think the quality of the Star Wars that's coming out right now is a lot better than it has been in the last 20 years. There's a guy named Dave Filoni that's been doing a lot of really great stuff. He started off in their animation department. He actually created some characters for the animated shows that have now made their way into some live action stuff. And I think all the stuff that he's doing and whatnot is really awesome. But I think all the people that love and appreciate that are people who have been Star Wars fans a long time. So I don't think Star Wars is bringing in a lot of new fans the way that they used to. And like I said, I think most of the younger generation were influenced by their parents if they do really love Star Wars. Because I'd say right now a jumping off point for a kid to get into Star Wars would be kind of difficult, because you try to show them the movies in release order and they'd probably get bored after that first hour of wandering around in the desert.
Yeah, because it's boring. I got bored with that shit in like 1984.
Yeah,
we didn't have anything that was like, destroying our attention span back then like it does today, man.
For sure. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming up with something Star Warsy to talk about with me. I have no idea what we're doing next month, so as soon as I get that figured out, I'll make sure and let you know, and we can have a better conversation than just talking about things that you hate.
No, that's fine. One final gripe with Star Wars.
Yeah, go for it.
I fucking hate that franchise for basically derailing the once promising career of a young Ewan McGregor.
I don't feel like it hurt his career very much. I feel like he's still been pretty successful, and he plays my favorite character in the entire Star Wars franchise, so I have a soft spot for Ewan.
that guy went from doing like Train Spotting, A Life
Mhm.
Less Ordinary, to being Obi-Wan Kenobi and
Yep.
playing dicks for the rest of his life. He loses.
Like you weren't a fan of Down with Love with him and Renee Zellweger?
No, that movie sucked.
That movie was awesome. I really enjoyed that movie.
Get out of here.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Troy. I appreciate your halftime talk this month. We are 4 episodes in, and I still call it a week.
Peace out. Get down
All
to the
right.
Art Craft Theater in Franklin. They had some tornado damage from the tornado that came through. They're opening back up this weekend.
Nice.
Get
Are
out
they
there.
showing anything
Support.
special?
Just Arsenic and Old Lace. What was on the schedule originally?
I did that play back in high school, so I may want to try to make it down there for that.
Yeah, they're reopening weekend.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Troy. Appreciate it. Let's send it back to future Shane, Jason, Drew, and the Mandalorian. All right. Well, as always, Troy had some exciting and entertaining things to say about Star Wars. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to listen to. We have now gotten to our Mount Rushmore, part 3 of the podcast. On this part, I give you guys a topic every week, and I have you pick out your 4 top answers to the question. Obviously, being the Star Wars themed episode, we are asking you, what are your top 4 Star Wars characters? And these are characters from anything, from any of the movies, from any of the TV shows, from any of the books, from any of the video games, any Star Wars content that there has ever been, whether it is canon or not. I want to know your 4 favorite characters, starting with Drew.
All right. Go number 4. I might have to go with Cad Bane.
Ooh, I forgot all about. How did I forget about that? That's a great choice.
And I love that he was brought in to the Mandalorian. I thought that was an amazing. Sorry, that wasn't Mandalorian. That was Boba Fett, or both. Or am I crazy?
It was a second season. It was the second season of Mando.
Second season of Mando, right?
Yeah, it was the same stuff.
He shot down Timothy Oliphant, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
Mandalorian. Yes.
Yep.
And the fact that Filoni was just like, hey, let's go ahead and bring him back.
Yep.
And everyone forgot about him until you saw the hat, and you were just like,
oh yeah.
The live action version of him, it was so great,
flawless.
And that was another reason, like, that solidified it for me. I was just like, they literally they pulled him from the series and said, boom, there he is on screen. And it was one of the most amazing from the series to like live action I've ever seen. Like, it's one of the best I've ever seen. Okay, so
I didn't even think about that one. Good call.
And he's just a badass in my opinion. Always has been. Let's see, number 3. I gotta go with Han Solo, my boy.
Good choice.
Han is just his character arc throughout the entire series is just fantastic, because when he finally in what is it, Force Awakens, when he's just like, it's real, all of it. That's the very first time you ever hear Han Solo actually admit that everything is real.
True.
Like, because he was always just like, folks see this, folks see that. Like, yeah, punk your religions, you know, he never believed in it. But like the fact that he finally came to terms with it at the very end, right before Ben had to do his thing, was just kind of like a full circle moment. I was just like, oh, I love you, man. And also, underrated Star Wars film, Solo. Love it.
I did not.
Let's see. Number 3, R2-D2, bro.
R2-D2, I love it. Love it.
R2-D2 is my homeboy. Loved him forever and ever. And never underestimate a droid. That's all I gotta say.
I like that.
Number 2, Qui-Gon Jinn. Just because he was one of the most ambitious yet wise, and I think he knew, like, he was also curious as well, and I think that's why he was one of the better Jedi Masters, and I think that's why he wanted Anakin to succeed so much. And why he was so driven to take him under his wing, but he never had the chance. And then number one, I mean, gotta say it, Luke, of course.
I mean,
I'm not biased
I
at
wonder
all,
why.
No, just like I mean, the fact that I was able to carry on such a legacy that was started way before me with Star Wars weekends, and to be the very last one at Disney was
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was the very last one.
Yeah, that's really awesome. They should put up a statue to you.
It was shut up.
I'd put up a statue to you.
Yeah. Don't need it. Don't want it. All good. Thank you.
Rock on, man. That's a good list.
Yeah, and just because Luke is freaking Luke.
Jason?
Number 4, I'm gonna say Din Djarin. Yeah, Mando.
Our fourth guest. Our fourth guest this week. Do not take your helmet off, sir.
This is the way.
This is the way.
But I'm enjoying his arc tremendously through the show. I it's a lot of fun to see. I wish that he would like the only thing about it is I wish he was a little bit more forceful on some certain things. But he's a lot of fun to watch. So he's my number 4. Number 3 is I'm gonna be right there with you, Han Solo, and it's just because like he's literally the basis for so many sci-fi not even just sci-fi characters, but just like characters in general. Like that character is just perfect. You wouldn't have Malcolm Reynolds in Serenity without Han Solo.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
straight out of that. Yeah,
and then man, and you know, it's really, really tough for me. And I know who my number 1 has to be, but my number 2 is Caleb.
Oh, okay.
From Rebels, man. Like it's just Kanan Jarrus or however you want to call it as far as that
way.
Huh?
Whichever way you go with his name.
Yeah. Whichever way you want to go with his name, Kanan Jarrus, or what was the other one that Caleb Dune is that? That's his original name, I believe. But yeah, like wow.
Biggest fingers crossed that at some point we get Freddie Prinze Jr. live action.
Like that would be awesome. That would be super, super cool.
Absolutely. Like as of now, we've seen every other Rebels character in live action. Some of them just in the Ahsoka preview. But man, I'm crossing my fingers they bring Freddie Prinze live action for that. That he will be perfect.
Yeah. He's my second, and just like especially like how he ends. What ends up happening with his character at the end of his run is just fantastic. But then my number 1 is Luke Skywalker. There's no way I can deny it. First movie ever seen, Return of the Jedi. Like my son's name is Lucas. We only call him Luke. He only wants to be called Luke. I am your father. So like it's just one of those things where like he's, and you know, growing up being a blonde-haired kid, not that you can tell now, but being a blonde-haired kid in the 80s, and it literally he's just awesome as a character. I didn't care so much for the way they ended him. I think they could have handled that better. But for the most part, like the rest of it is just fantastic. And I loved how they brought him back in for Mando and the little things that they've done with that so far. So, but yeah, that's my top 4. Shane?
Very cool. Well, I didn't realize this when I first put mine together, but I picked 4 Jedis. Weird. No, well, a quasi-evil character. Well, and a not so
with the robe,
Jedi,
it only makes sense.
And you know, I sometimes
should have picked Darth Maul. Darth Maul should have been in my list, but because like Vader's awesome too, man. Like it's just hard. So I just went with the light side on this one.
See, and that's the way I am. Like I just so gravitate towards the light side characters in the Star Wars universe that but we'll get to it because I see that I'm not 100% light side here. But like, I didn't think about the fact that my number 4 is Grogu. Then your now son Grogu is my number 4, and I think it's just. I mean, I love the Mandalorian character, but especially with season 3, the comedy that Grogu brings to it, like I've found myself laughing a lot at him, and it's just made me happy. So like I've enjoyed what he's done. I enjoyed what he did in the finale. I liked when he was able to use his force abilities to actually help out, and obviously the smashing of the no button just literally makes me laugh unstoppable. So I put Grogu down as my number 4. My number 3 is a Jedi, and I think I like her because of just how much content we've gotten from her and how much is about to come, and that's Ahsoka slash Fulcrum. I've loved her in the Clone Wars. I loved watching her with Anakin, watching her grow up, watching her, decide to leave the Jedi because, theologically she didn't agree with them. I thought that was a really well done story arc with that. Really enjoyed the stuff she did when she interacted with Rebels, and then when she showed up on Mando. Like, she's just a character who, and obviously I have the biggest crush on Rosario Dawson, so that didn't hurt when they cast her as that character. So I've really enjoyed everything that I've gotten so far from Ahsoka, and I'm looking forward to the TV show. My number 3 technically started out as a Darth, but once you played as him in Knights of the Old Republic, uh, Jedi Knight Revan is one of my favorite characters. I really enjoyed that redemption arc. I enjoyed the twist with Knights of the Old Republic. I thought that was a really cool character. I enjoyed how they continued on with him. I read one of his books. I know there's been a couple of them. And I can't remember I think it's just called Revan actually, but read one of those books, when it was before they made everything legacy books or whatever they are now. And then my number 1 favorite character, who's been my favorite character for a very, very, very long time, also an original trilogy character, but I more fell in love with him in the prequels, is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know why when I was younger I always really enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi more than Luke Skywalker. I don't know if it was because I just felt like he was actually a Jedi and Luke never really was actually a Jedi, even though he kind of I agree that he was actually a Jedi by Return of the Jedi, but like all the stuff Luke does in the first movie and then like the first half of the second movie aren't really like Jedi stuff. So I guess just like having Obi-Wan being, the real Jedi that I had at that point, and then once Ewan McGregor got cast in that role, and like I know 2 and 3 aren't very good, but I still, I enjoyed getting to see Obi-Wan Kenobi use a lightsaber. I got to see him fight Grievous. I got to see the Mustafar stuff, but whatever. Like, I still got to see Obi-Wan Kenobi fight with a lightsaber, and that was awesome. TV series, not the greatest. I was happy to see that character again. I didn't really care for the direction and the writing and what they tried to do with it, but it was still fun to see him back. So Obi-Wan Kenobi is my number 1 Star Wars character.
Well, you look like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. Thank you, sir. Why I keep the beard?
I was about to say you look like him over there.
Oh, I
You gotta
appreciate
pull
that so
down
much.
go, hello there.
Hello there. And I haven't done my hair today, so like it's not gonna look very good if I pull my hood down. Even though it's kind of hot. But all right, that was a great first 3 parts of the episode. We are now moving on to our actual Star Wars discussion. So we got a couple of shows we can talk about. We got Celebration that we can talk about. We kind of don't really have to follow any order here. Just whatever we're in the mood to talk about, we can go with. Some of the shows that we had from last season, we had Obi-Wan Andor, the 2nd season of Bad Batch, and the 3rd season of Mando. Actually, the first show I want to talk about, the first show that I am dumb because I waited a long time to watch it, and had I known that Dave Filoni was involved, I would have watched it a lot faster, was Tales of the Jedi.
You're welcome.
That you texted me and I completely forgot about it, and then like 2 months later, I was talking to you and I was like, bro, I just watched Tales of the Jedi. It's so good. And he's like, I texted you about that 2 months ago. And I was like, oh, maybe you did. But I finally did get to watch it, and I think it's literally some of the best Star Wars content I have seen ever. Like all 6 of the episodes, I think are really good and really phenomenal. I think they fill in gaps in other content perfectly. Those 3 episodes they did with Dooku in a row, where you literally watch Dooku and Qui-Gon the first time, and then you watch some Dooku progression. I thought that was really well done and filled in who and what he was all about. Drew, have you watched Tales of the Jedi?
I have indeed.
How do you feel about it?
I saw it when they first came out, so it's not very fresh in my mind. But I did love the Ahsoka origin.
Yep, that was a good one too.
It was great to see where she came from and to see other people of her race, and I just thought that was really cool.
And her,
but the Dooku backstory, what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think episodes 5 and 6 with her, because I think she was episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 were Dooku, and then 5 and 6 were Ahsoka again, and both of those Ahsoka ones were phenomenal. The training with Anakin, and then the one where she revealed herself in that city, like, man, even more great Ahsoka content.
Yep.
And I mean, it's no big surprise, right? Like, we love George Lucas for the lore he began, but I think Dave Filoni is definitely the guy who is like, if he should just be in charge. He should be the Kevin Feige, whatever, of the Star Wars universe. Everything should run through him as much as possible.
Because he is Lucas's right-hand man.
Yeah, well, but
when it comes to it, yeah.
Oh darn! You gave us somebody, like, we got somebody awesome.
Right?
Yeah,
Are
and
you,
just keeping up with.
Not happy with Favreau's stuff? Like, are you not happy with Favreau?
He's okay.
Okay.
He's okay. It's just it sometimes feels a little bit more forced from him on certain things. But for the most part, like, Filoni just it seems like he not only does he get it, but he's keeping it. It feels the same. Whereas I can't say that for everybody else, and with Jon Favreau's stuff.
Gotcha. Well, and obviously I have no faith in Kathleen Kennedy, because what she did with those 3 films is just miserable and terrible. Like, no consistency, no content. Man, there's no consistency, no continuity to it. Like, they should have had one person who was in charge of those 3 stories that came up with something from the beginning, so that you didn't have, episode 9 trying to undo what was done in episode 8 because Rian Johnson decided he didn't really want to make a Star Wars movie. Like, I wish somebody like Irvin Kershner, or somebody that, like, was a good storyteller. I don't even know if Irvin Kershner's still alive. Like, I have no idea. But, like, bring me in somebody that's good at storytelling.
Yeah, and it should have been Dave Filoni.
Sure.
They should have had him in charge of it, or just, you know what? Like, I think JJ has the ability to make good content. I don't think he always executes it properly, but I think he has good ideas for the most part. You could have had him in charge of the whole freaking trilogy, even if he didn't direct it all. Agreed. Just so that it was all, like, consistent. I think that could have. I think that would have felt better than what we ended up getting. So, but
agreed. I wish they would have come up with one person that could have come up with the overall arc for the 3. Like you said, he didn't have to write all 3 of them, but just be like, this is where we're starting and this is where we're going. Because with all the stuff that they did about Rey in episode 8, and then all of a sudden in episode 9, they were like, oh, that was all lies. You're actually really important, and your parents were kind of important because they were the children of the evilest person on the planet. Like, obviously that shit wasn't planned out. It just was not good storytelling, in my opinion. I really wish they could have done better.
And I wish we wouldn't have lost Carrie the way that we did either, so that she could have at least finished. And not that, and obviously recreational use of certain items played a factor in that, and not everybody can stay healthy when they have so much pressure on them. And like, I get that. That's a huge, like, I mean, we all loved her, right? Like, everybody loves Princess Leia, everybody loves Carrie Fisher, but that's a huge responsibility. That's a huge undertaking, and not everybody can handle that kind of stuff. And it stinks that she ended up passing the way that she did. I wish that we would have had her for a lot longer. So that she could have done other things, not just episode 9, but other stuff. Because I think she's actually really, really funny as a person. She and her writing was really good stuff. So, but yeah, like, it's just one of those things that didn't, trying to make sure you kept that incorporated. and handled it as well as they could have with her passing early before they made that film, and still having to try and figure out a way to make Leia a part of everything. That had to have been its own challenge like crazy anyway. So but yeah, so Obi-Wan Kenobi, you were talking about that earlier. So
Yeah.
what were you thinking?
So my big problem, as much as I love the character, I have the same problem with Obi-Wan's TV series that I have with Andor's TV series. And my problem with both of them is I never at any moment feel like the main character is ever in peril. There is no chance that any of the, like, there's no chance Obi-Wan's going to die because I know what happens to him after this TV show. No chance Andor's going to die because I know what's going to happen to him after this show. And I don't feel like either of those shows brought in any side characters and made me care about them enough that they could have killed them off and made me like it. You know, it sucks when Andor's mom dies. Like, that's a bummer, but she wasn't really a part of the plot, and I didn't feel super invested in her. Like,
Yeah,
it was a way to get Andor, back to the planet, like storytelling wise, but I just, with both of those shows, like the first scene when Vader and Obi-Wan meet each other, and Vader sets him on fire, like, really cool scene. Would have been cooler if he did it to like Obi-Wan's sidekick that was hanging out with him right then and maybe actually killed him off. And then I'd be like, wow, this dude's been with Obi-Wan for 3 episodes and they just killed him off. Like, I might actually have been emotionally invested in that. But he sets Obi-Wan on fire, and I'm like, Obi-Wan's gonna get out of this. I guarantee it. Like, there's just no moments of peril in the, like, I liked a lot of the stuff that they did, like Obi-Wan, like Under the Rocks. I really enjoyed that. It took me a while to get adjusted to Obi-Wan kind of being a pussy ass bitch at the beginning of the show. Like, that, I mean, I understand what they were trying to do with him, like kind of starting to lose his faith in the Force and all that kind of stuff, and that's why the rock scene in Episode 6 is so important and stuff. But like, I'm happy I got more Obi-Wan. I didn't really need more Andor. Andor was fine by the end of it, but like with Obi-Wan, I'm happy I got more Obi-Wan, but it just wasn't my favorite story. Like, what about you, Drew? Like, how'd you feel about Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan was great. I enjoyed it. Cassie enjoyed it too.
Nice.
I enjoyed the fact that we got to see a little bit more of his backstory
Okay.
after Clone Wars.
Yeah, makes sense.
In between all of that we already know, and then leading up to him taking over with Luke and whatnot. But I did think that it was. I agree with you. Like, there was never a time where, like, I knew they were going to be in peril at all, because you knew the outcome of what was going to happen. But I did enjoy.
And let me ask you this: if you were like 10 years old and you met this older dude once, and then like 10 years later somebody mentioned old Ben Kenobi, did you think you'd be like, huh, I remember meeting that guy like 10 years ago? Like,
I mean, maybe
I don't know why
the
they
guy
had
left
to
an
have
imprint
him.
on me.
I don't know why they had to have him meet him at the end. Like, I felt like that was not necessary. Like, him meeting Leia, like, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. Leia was involved with a bunch of stuff, and like she still, went back to her big, famous family and all that kind of stuff. Like,
I did enjoy that. That was pretty fun.
yeah, that didn't bother me at all. But like, why they had to have him like go meet Luke, I was just like,
It did. That was a head scratcher for me. I was just
yeah,
like, there's really no point in this. He can still
no.
like stay at a distance like he has been for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I honestly didn't understand why
I agree.
he did that,
Yeah.
really. But at the same time, I kind of did, just so that what you brought up, the fact that he says, "You mean old Ben Kenobi?" Or like, yeah, when he thinks, he's like, "I wonder if they're talking about old Ben Kenobi," and something like that. But I
mean,
feel
okay,
like
I
that was
guess.
just because he'd known his name throughout, like going to Tashi Station or something like that. Like, over the years, I'm sure his name had been thrown around, but they only knew him as an old hermit that lived out by the sand people.
So. Right. I mean, I guess I could see it working. I mean, I guess it shouldn't really bother me that much. What about you, Jason?
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, no, Jason, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, Obi-Wan was very lackluster for me. It was really cool to see the fight sequences between Vader and Obi-Wan, but overall, it was just so. Why are we going through this? What there? It didn't seem like what happened in that show at all like had an effect on the overall story much at all for me. Like you said, you're never worrying about him being in peril. You're also having this whole moment of like, you give us a little bit of the backstory, and this was our problem with the prequels, if you remember. It was like, we know Obi-Wan's going to survive this. We know that Anakin's going to become Darth Vader. So like seeing it backwards isn't helpful at all. So to me it seemed more pointless to me than anything. I would have been more interested in him doing like other things behind the scenes, helping other people, more so than it being centered around the Skywalkers at all. Like if he was just some kind of like almost like a bounty hunter or something, where he or even if he's just protecting people on Tatooine, like something else where we're not, it didn't have to be all interwoven.
What could have been nice about it, and what I'm hoping they end up doing with the next season of Mandalorian, is not relying on one overall story arc for the whole show, doing a series that's episodic. Like with the next season of Mandalorian, if they do an episodic thing where every episode starts with Mando going to the bar and the fighter pilot that I can't remember his name giving him, here's our Empire person we want you to go after this week, and then him and Grogu spend the episode hunting the guy down. End of the episode, finished, done, all good. Like I don't have to have an overall story arc. You give me 12 episodes of him hunting down the Shadow Legion, or whatever. Shadow Legion, is that what they're called? Yeah, whatever they're called. The guys that
I was about to see I was about to see Mando's head go yes, because of the fact that he was totally agreeing.
But yeah, so I would just like to see something more episodic. And like you were saying, they did that with Obi-Wan, where like Obi-Wan's the old hermit, like, maybe even at his middle age, Obi-Wan, he could have been pretending to be a hermit out there, but he's actually helping people, in the land or something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like they're relying too much on giving us one overall story. Well, no, you know what? I can't even say that. Mandalorian had a couple of standalone episodes. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm full of crap. I mean, they still had the whole Moff Gideon thing overall, and you still had to get to the Mandalorians the way that you got to the Mandalorians, but they still did have one-off-ish episodes.
Well, and speaking of Mando season 3, right? Like, really dug most of the season, whereas I felt like the second season was some hit and miss. This one felt more consistent on delivering fun stuff for us to watch and enjoy. Actually, I know that there was a whole lot of uproar about the Jack Black Lizzo episode. I told Shane when right after we watched it, I was like, if I'm ignorant when it comes to popular music these days. So, which is funny, considering when I was in my 19s or my late teens, 20s, I was so into popular music that I would have known anything that played on the radio. Now I literally am my parents and sitting there and like songs come on and I'm like, oh, that sounds horrible. And I'm changing the station and I'm going back to, 80s and 90s rock music or
absolutely.
But whatever the case, right? Because that's what happens when you get older kids. But I had no clue who Lizzo was. Like, I know her music. I didn't know what she looked like. So it was one of those things where like that episode came on and I'm like, oh, look, it's Jack Black. And if I hadn't seen something earlier in the day that was like Lizzo's on Mando, like I was like, oh, I wouldn't have known who Lizzo was. So I wasn't bothered by them at all in the episode. It seemed like it was just a campy episode anyway, which the style of the entire episode, like with Christopher Lloyd being, the way that Christopher Lloyd is.
That was a great
it worked. It worked for me for that episode. And I felt like that was a very episodic episode to me, where like it was pretty self-contained, not all the way through, but it was pretty close. And I think I don't know, like I had a whole lot of fun with that, but my favorite moment is the ship in the last episode. What happens to the giant ship?
Yeah.
In the I can't remember the guy that ran the Mandalorians, the offset Mandalorians that
Oh,
she had battle. Huh?
Axe.
Axe
Um.
Vizla? No, not Vizla. Sorry.
Oh my.
Listen to us. We're doing a Star Wars episode. We don't even know what
Right,
we're
we can't
talking
even
about.
think. We can't even think.
It's,
of it.
it's all
It's
right.
Axe and it ends with a W. Axe Warren X. Oh man.
But yeah, so it's one of those things to me. Like I thought that was a high point for that episode for sure. I kept reading some stuff online that was talking about Death Watch and
Mhm.
how a lot of people were theorizing that the armorer was going to end up being somebody who betrays all the Mandalorians, and because she's more loyal to Darth Maul and the fact that he was the one who actually won the dark saber at some point. But I'm really glad that didn't turn out to be true as far as those internet rumors, as far as we know so far.
Sure.
Because of the simple fact that I was like, come on, like I kind of like her story, like her being the General Obi-Wan-esque kind of person for their group of oh, here's the old stories and we're good. Let's take care of each other this way. Like I liked it and it worked. So I hope that doesn't turn out to be true at any point, because I like that.
I could then like the fact if it I can't remember the character's name, but I know who you're talking about. We get a Mayor Kid cameo. Woo! I can't remember the character's name, but Darth Maul did have a female sidekick, and if it turns out that it's her and she's changed from her Death Watch days, I still think that could play out pretty cool if that's who the armorer turns out to be.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Just to jump back real quick and talk about the Jack Black and Lizzo thing. I know I voiced because I saw you the same day that I watched it or the day after or something like that, but I didn't know that everybody on the internet hated it. I just told you that my problem with it was they took me out of the episode because of all three of them in that episode look like themselves. Like this is Star Wars. Like if you had made Christopher Lloyd like a green-skinned alien that had something else on his bald head, or if you gave Jack Black some type of headdress so that I didn't see Jack Black's hair in his regular head, or if you gave Lizzo just anything to make her look different. I mean, I guess they did the best with her and some of her costumes and the thing that was following her or whatever, but unfortunately, because I did know who all three of those people are, when I watched them and they look exactly like they normally do, and they didn't try to put them in any makeup or do anything to change their appearance, that takes me out of watching a Star Wars thing that's supposed to be, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, where our pop culture icons are right there and don't have any kind of makeup on themselves whatsoever to make themselves look any different.
Yeah, and I get that. From a storytelling standpoint, though, like I said, with the campiness that was kind of in that episode, it fit for me, and that's the reason why it was okay for me to. I was willing to forgive.
Yeah, I felt like it was more of a filler episode. To have the main characters going after something that they need, but at the same time having an obstacle put in their way, but have it be this kind of serious / funny, uplifting moment. But at the end of the episode, they finally get what they came for.
Well, and of course, Grogu got his nice little moment when he helped Lizzo and her game that she was doing,
or the croquet, or
the croquet game,
the space croquet, as I call
it. So Grogu got a little funny moment in there.
Right, yeah,
what about Bad Batch compared to because I really enjoyed the first season of Bad Batch.
All I have to say is Tech is still alive.
You think so?
Yes.
I mean, nobody dies in Star Wars, right?
They did not show him.
He didn't. He just fell. Nope, you're right.
Exactly.
He fell into some clouds.
Fell.
Yep.
And I have a feeling that the Empire recovered him and they're holding him hostage.
Oh, I can definitely see that. Are
something.
we?
Using him for something.
The one who went bad in the first season.
Deadeye or
Deadeye.
Shot. Oh, jeez.
Oh my god! Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
We are so bad at this today.
Yeah, we were awful at this.
I thought it was Deadeye, but I know it's not.
No, it's not Deadeye. It's
Tech Wrecker.
Tech Wrecker, Hunter,
Crosshair. Thank you.
Crosshair.
Do we think Crosshair is
Thank you,
finally hitting
babe.
the point? Thank you. Is
That's amazing.
Crosshair finally hitting the point where he's going to come back to the good guys?
Yes. I think
think
he
so?
realizes that
He's starting to see.
he can like suppress
Mhm.
the implant because he's, I think, finally realizing that it's wrong.
Good. Yeah, that's
what they're
kind of
doing.
where that's what I think they're hinting at also, which will make me happy.
And the fact that Omega has now found him,
Hmm.
I feel like she's gonna help him come back to the light side. You know,
Which is
Yeah.
weird. 'Cause I watched the first season of this
Mhm.
while it was coming out every week, and I have not watched the second season at all. But no, but I mean it's my fault. I'm behind. So but another big surprise. Dave Filoni's doing good stuff when he gets to, and he's somewhat in charge of that one, or is he fully in charge of that one still? I can't remember.
I can't
believe
remember.
he's still fully in charge of
Yeah.
that because it's an entity of Clone Wars.
Okay.
I wasn't as obsessed with the second season as I was with the first one. I really enjoyed. I watched every episode every week with the first one. With the second season, I usually let like 3 or 4 episodes pile up, and then I just watch them all at once. Just because I didn't feel that like need to immediately know exactly what's going on in that universe. But like I still enjoyed it overall, just not so much as the first season. Uh, Drew, I have not watched any of Star Wars Visions. Have you seen any of that?
Oh, dude, Visions is so good.
Is it okay? I need that's
so
one thing
good.
I haven't made time for yet.
Oh my god, it is beautiful.
Second
And I know they
season
just got a
drops
Say
second
today
one
season.
thing about it. The
Oh, did it
second
really?
season is supposed to be dropping soon. Yeah.
Nice.
on May 4th today.
Oh, today, May 4th.
Oh
yes.
yes, today.
There we go.
All right, there it is.
Boom.
Boom.
So
If
awesome.
you haven't seen it, watch it.
Watch it.
But
Cool.
it
was the last thing on my list
just,
to make sure I watched before we recorded this, and I just ran out of time because I'm lazy.
It is absolutely beautiful. That is the
Good.
one thing that I can say, because the different anime styles, it's mind blowing, and to see Star Wars within a different culture that we're not used to seeing.
Awesome.
Because it's in like its own world, but we're also seeing Star Wars Americanized as well. So
Makes
like
sense.
to see it through a different lens is so refreshing.
Very cool.
And also the stories behind it are just freaking phenomenal. And the fact that they're only, I think, like 12 minutes long or something like that.
Oh, awesome.
They're very short. Like they're
kind of like Tales of the Jedi.
What's that?
I was saying it's kind of like Tales of the Jedi then.
Yeah, it's just like Tales of the Jedi. It's just like little one-offs, and they're just so cool. And there's ones that are in black and white, and the only thing that you see is the color of the lightsaber.
Oh, nice.
And there's one where dude, it's like this person has an umbrella lightsaber almost.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
What was your
cool?
What were you gonna say, Shane?
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you had ever gotten around to watching them yet.
I know I watched the first one.
Okay.
So I remember watching that, but I don't know if I got to any. I don't think I got to any others, but with Drew's recommendation, I'll definitely pop it on.
10 out of 10.
Nice.
I mean, there's ones that are a little bit slower than others, and a little more, and depending upon the animation, depends on the story.
Okay.
So if it's kind of like that cute, fluffy animation, the story is going to be a little bit more towards that, but it's still going to have that Star Wars edge to it.
I know I had given my opinions on Andor earlier. Jason, did you ever get around to watching Andor?
I never finished it. He got arrested, and that was where I pretty much stopped. It was really tough for me that it did not hold enough steam and it didn't keep going for me. So I know I really enjoyed like the heist episode where they actually finally got to the heist. That was kind of cool when they that was fun and entertaining, but then like, yeah, it just turned into one of those things where I was like, man, I am laboring through this, and I don't know if I was tired or what, but just wasn't. And then from what everybody tells me, like it gets better from where I stopped than it was, and it kind
Yes,
of
it
picks
does.
up
It's a very
once
slow
in jail.
burn.
So
It's a very slow burn.
Well, and that's weird that people would say that because those 3 episodes that he's in jail are probably my least favorite episodes of the whole series. Like, that was just like a side subplot that I don't feel like it did anything for the show. Like,
Unless, well, the fact that he meets one of the
that,
I forget his name. He meets
yeah,
Homeboy in the prison. So I
yep,
think they were setting it up for that uh for
Rogue One.
for
yeah,
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jason.
and I think I would have been more okay with that if they had connected the dots by bringing him into like episode 11 or 12 to like be like, okay, they met at the prison, and then that, they very quickly started working together. Like, to have the dot to be connecting, oh, they met in prison, and now it's part of this movie that you may or may not remember that this character was in this movie. I guess, I don't know.
We're getting a second season of the Andor, right? They're
Yes.
doing one more season.
And I'm
And
excited about for how that season is going to go because Andor season 1 was 5 years before Rogue One, so season 2 is going to be 4 3 episode arcs that are each going to jump 1 year closer to Rogue One. So like the first 3 episodes will be 4 years before, and then you'll have 3 more episodes that's 3 years before. So hopefully, in theory, at some point K2SO can be introduced in there because I really thought for a second they were about to
Oh, he
introduce
needs to
us.
be. He
Uh,
needs to be.
yeah, well, actually, Jason, you would have seen it. The episode that he gets arrested in is the one where they had the droid, and I was like, oh my god, are we about to learn that this is K2SO? And then it turned into nothing. But
he was just a regular Imperial droid.
yeah, so I hope at some point in those story arcs in season 2 that they introduce it. I know Alan Tudyk had come out and said that he wasn't in the first season, but I mean, everybody that works for Disney lies about everything, so I kind of just hoped that he was lying.
Yeah, Drew.
Yeah,
No,
that
they
includes you.
don't.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
No
Mm.
way.
What? No
So tell me all the secrets about Rise of the Resistance. How does it work?
It's on a magnetic track.
Oh, I believe that. I believe you, because why would you lie to me?
But it's
So
just like Ratatouille, and it's just like
Mickey and Minnie.
Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Railroad.
Right on.
That's on
I
that
have
same kind of technology.
So as far as you,
Thank you, Dave.
I'm gonna sidestep on this, and since we already brought up,
Oh, cat.
oh hello, what's the name of the cat?
This is Luna.
Luna.
Hi, everybody.
I thought you were
Luna
gonna.
is apparently the most popular name right now because I have 3 friends who have all gotten dogs in the last 3 years and named all their dogs Luna. And now I know a cat named Luna. Actually, this is the second. I tell you that this is the second cat that I know named Luna. My friend Candy also has a cat that she named Luna.
I made a deal with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
We can name all the cats Harry Potter characters.
Ah,
We name all the dogs Star Wars characters.
I like that plan.
Did you get Chewy yet?
We're working on it.
Okay,
Nice.
We're gonna get a Labradoodle and name it Chewy.
that's perfect.
That's gonna be hilarious.
What was your I was before you joined us, I was explaining some of the things that that I've had the adventures that I've seen you've been on since you work at Disney. When you got to sign something, didn't you? You got to put on.
Yes. I got to sign one of the beams that was used to help build Batu, the Star Wars land here at Disney.
Oh,
Disney
very
World.
cool.
Yeah, and anybody who worked at Hollywood Studios could go and sign the beam, and it is placed in, I think, one of the highest parts of over Smuggler's Run.
Oh, nice.
So, which one's your favorite, Smuggler's Run or Rise of the Resistance?
Smuggler's Run for sure.
Okay.
I Rise of the Resistance. My brother went to it before I got to ride it, and he was like, "Dude, when you walk in, it's gonna blow your mind."
It is mind blowing, but Smuggler's Run is more fun for me. And also because with Rise of the Resistance, with any ride that uses animatronics, there are things that happen. So
Yeah.
but the technology is absolutely ridiculous.
It
The
is.
fact that you get on the transport and then you get off the transport, but you switch sides and you're like, but I got in from that. Wait, I hold. How did they do this?
Yes, that was amazing. My two things that I wish that Disney would have done while building those. Rise of the Resistance, there's a portion where you walk in and you're in oh my goodness, like a landing
You're
bay.
in the bay. You're in the landing bay.
And a landing bay, and there's AT-ATs, right?
There's AT-ATs. There's
Stormtroopers.
R2 units. Well, not R2 units, but Imperial R2 units, and then there's First Order troopers right there as you get off of the transport.
I wish
and
they
it is intimidating.
I wish that the First Order, not all of them, but I wish some of them would move a little bit, because that was one of the things that kind of annoyed me, is like they're all statues, but it's like, could we have just put a little bit of movement? And I didn't need a whole lot, but just so that I knew that they weren't statues, just a tiny bit of movement would have been awesome.
Of course. And then you get the First Order officers who are there guiding you and telling you to keep moving and whatnot. So,
and then my second thing is in Smuggler's Run. I wish that there was just one, and I know from a logistical standpoint, it would be a nightmare, but I wish that I could just like hang out in the Millennium Falcon for just a little while. Like, I just want to sit down at the table. I just want to like just
I mean, you
soak
can,
it
if
in
you want to. You can like go in there and like sit down and take pictures real quick.
Okay, yeah,
and rushing.
I did, yeah, because it always, the two times I've ridden it have been fantastic, but each time it was kind of like, okay, keep moving, and I get it from, like I said, I can't imagine trying to get that many.
The next time you go, just be like, hey, can we please take a picture? And you can sit down at the board and take a picture with the people around the table.
Awesome.
If you ask them, they'll let you do it, because they'll just move on to the next people. They'll just be like, okay, take your picture, and then once you're ready, they'll call you back over, and then you get your boarding pass, and
Well, thank you for that. My niece's best friend, I don't know if she still works on Smuggler's Run or not, but she used to work on Smuggler's Run, and that it was really cool to be able to go with them. That was kind of a cool instance, and so it's
very, very cool. And anyone who's never been on it, try to be.
I haven't been. Nope, not yet. Which one?
The pilot.
The pilot. Okay, good to know.
I was gonna say,
I've been there, but I did not have enough time to. It was literally like right when Rise of the Resistance had recently opened, but like both lines were insane. I didn't like. I got on my app at 7:00 in the morning when they said I was allowed to, and they were like, "It's already sold out," and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
okay."
the boarding parties."
Yeah.
I mean, the lines aren't too bad, but I would recommend, if you ever want to go on vacation down here, the best time to come is at the end of January, beginning of February, going into March, because that's at the end of the holiday season, going into spring break, and there's nobody.
I think I will make that plan for next year, because I really want to go back. I got about 2 hours that I got to spend. I got to build my lightsaber. I got to walk around, and I saw like everything that was there, and it was really awesome. But like I said, I didn't have any time to try to wait in line for any rides. So maybe that will be my plan next year.
Oh yeah, you should totally do it, dude. And now that Mando is actually walking around with Grogu now.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see him all the time out there.
You guys are like best friends.
Yeah. I have to say, Drew, what's hilarious to me is knowing you for so long, but all night tonight, every time you're talking, I'm hearing your father's voice, and it's so trippy to me, because it's just like, just your inflections and the way you say things is just so spot on with him. But it makes sense. Hilarious. So, but it's just one of those things where you keep doing it, and I just keep like giggling inside. I'm like, I keep Joe.
I keep seeing
Drew, how long have you been back in Florida now?
I will be back. It'll be 9 years in 9 years in August. Yeah.
So potentially it's been 8 to 9 years since the last time I randomly ran into you
Yeah.
on the back patio of Joe's Grill.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
Where we both like sat down outside and we're just like, wait a minute, I know you, and found out that we knew a lot of the same people. And then you were like, I'm about to go back down to Florida and give it another try. And 9 years, man,
I
that's
do
awesome.
remember that. Oh my gosh.
It
Yeah.
was so long ago. I couldn't remember
Yeah,
how long ago that was.
that feels like eons ago, my
It
bro.
really, we were so young back then. I mean, you're still so young. I still have to remind myself you're way younger than me.
So,
Yes.
yeah. What else are we talking about here, Shane?
I mean, I think the last thing that we got is anything that was announced at Celebration that has you guys excited, because
Ahsoka's really the only thing that's got me pumped, and I think that's just because of my love for Rebels.
sure.
Like everything else is just kind of like, okay, I'll enjoy it when it comes out. I actually don't hate the idea of Rey getting her own movie, or apparently she's not really gonna have her own movie. I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'm okay with it. I'm just hoping that they can do something really cool with the character compared to just I don't need a rehashing like of. I mean, if she's doing a new Jedi Order, that's kind of cool. But like,
say, yeah, if it's something like that, I'm kind of on the fence about that as well.
yeah,
Just like
I'm
but I think Daisy is awesome as has the potential. I think I've seen her act well enough that I'm cool with it, and I have no issues with her. It's just that can you flesh out that character to be a little bit more than she already is? I think if you can get somebody that can write up something really decent, I think it has the potential to be something awesome. But
exactly, it depends
we'll hold on to that.
Who writes and directs it for sure. And also, and with the writing, I think it depends on how many years in the future
15.
It's going to be set.
Yeah, they're jumping 15 years from
15,
the end of.
Is that what they said?
15.
Okay. I didn't hear a number. I knew that it was going to be set in the future. I just didn't hear a number yet.
Yeah, I heard 15. So it gives her time where she, in theory, could have. And I mean, like, again, what exactly will they do with it? Like, are they going to have her traveling around and finding who has the most midichlorians? Like, are they going to be having her hunting down like force sensitive children to try to bring like where is she going to be built like
yeah, where's the Jedi Temple going to be? Is it going to be,
is it going to be the Jedi
Tatooine?
Temple we saw them build at not Octo? I mean, they could go back to Octo, or well, no, I think Octo is where they were building the one when we saw Luke and Grogu when he was having all the like spider things build the thing. I think they might have confirmed that was Octo. I don't remember the name of the island that Luke was on in the 8th movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where it's gonna be. So it'll be like, because I mean, originally in the novels that aren't canon anymore, like it was a planet called Octo, which was where like the Jedi Temple like originally started and everything. So I don't know if they're gonna go try and do that.
She can make it wherever she wants, right? Like
Sure.
she's got the books.
Very true. They could also go back to an old one.
Yep.
That hasn't that only the Jedi know about. Like
what you could do the one from you could do the one from Fallen Order.
No, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So you could tie that in, or you could do the one that they found in or did that collapse in Rebels? I remember the one that they had to use the Force to like make it.
Yeah, I literally, dude, get out of my head. I was thinking about that one too. I was like, holy crap, that's the one that freaking Ezra and Kanan like rose out of the ground.
Yep. So,
well, and then I mean the place that
because they were
I thought
I think the place that Ahsoka looks like she discovers when she, uses her lightsaber circle and goes down. Is that a Jedi temple that she's finding?
That was sexy what she just said.
Yes, it was.
And that was taken straight from
the. Yep, absolutely was. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they like. I hope it turns out to be good. I mean, hypothetically, you could do a new trilogy if you just use her only in the first, make her an Obi-Wan Kenobi character. She's only in the first movie. She trains a bunch of people. Maybe the bad guy of the first movie kills her. and then all of her pupils need to, rise up against him for the second and or third movie. Like, I don't need 3 more movies with Rey, is what I'm getting at. Like, have Rey put her Jedi
I
Padawans
feel like
together. Good.
I feel like Finn is going to be one of her students,
Oh yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at
or
all.
will be like another Jedi with her at the temple. And so I
I mean,
think
I'd
it
love to
might
see.
be
I'd love to see Ezra.
their story, or it might be Rey and Finn in the first one, and then Finn carrying it on from there.
Okay, I can see that.
That would be
Because
I
he
agree.
is
I'd love to
sensitive.
see
He is
Ezra
more sensitive. It was
confirmed.
I only say this because we literally just watched Rise of Skywalker not 2 nights ago or something.
Nice.
So it's like fresh in my memory. Um, but like we know that Finn is force sensitive, so they're definitely going to tag on something with him and Rey. And
I could definitely believe that.
Finn, I feel like Rey is going to teach Finn, and I feel like they may go searching for other Jedi, and that could be the setup of the first movie is them searching for other Jedi to set up this new temple and this new order.
I think it'd be really cool to have them do like because they're kind of. I mean, you get a little bit of like the like almost like a cop buddy show. Like you could. It sounds kind of silly, but I mean, like if you're doing, but you know what I mean. Like you could.
No,
like,
I know. Yeah, I know.
Well
Exactly.
done. That first episode 7. One of the few things was they played really well off of each other on the banter aspect of things. But I also know that John Boyega said that he would never do another Star Wars movie, apparently.
That's what I was about to ask at one point. I was going to say, do you think they get the right people that would make him willing to come back? Because
I think you can. Money talks, so does creative.
Sure. And you know that Oscar Isaac is going to be coming back as Poe Dameron, if as a cameo at least.
I could definitely see that. So as excited as I am about Thrawn and the fact that they potentially have the chance to do some of the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire stuff, have you guys heard about the second trilogy that Timothy Zahn wrote about Thrawn?
I have not.
So I don't remember exactly what year it came out. The Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy was 2020 to 2021. And it turns him from being the most badass villain in the planet into a quasi good guy anti-hero because we can't have anybody who's actually just a bad guy anymore.
Can't just have pure evil anymore.
Yeah. So he and the main reason he joined the Empire and became the badass that he was because he knew about a race of species called the Grisk. And the Grisk were from beyond the Outer Realm, where the Chiss or the Chris or whatever his species, the Chiss stay. And so he joined the Empire to learn if the Empire was a threat and to help him better protect himself against the Grisk. And that's why he was so evil and such a bad guy, was because he was doing it to protect his people. And I have no interest in reading that because I want Thrawn to be the evil, badass motherfucker that he has always been in my mind, because we needed somebody on Darth Vader's level. And so, yeah, when I heard about those books and heard what they were about, I was extremely disappointed. So I really hope that they don't take Thrawn that way. But it's Disney, so probably by the end of the Ahsoka series, probably by the time we find him in Ahsoka, him and Ezra are going to be working together and be all buddy-buddy at that point. Because, I mean, they're stuck together.
You say that, but Moff Gideon was a bad guy from get-go to the end.
Okay.
Oh, they finally gave us a bad guy again. He was cutthroat. He was awesome.
So do we think he's actually dead, or did we watch all of his clones and another clone of him die?
I don't think, if anything, I think you get like a clone that survived. I think that one is dead.
Okay.
So
the no mustache theory doesn't hold any weight to you?
I didn't see that.
So the first 2 seasons of the show,
I was just like, yeah,
the first 2 seasons of the show, Moff Gideon had a mustache. All of the clones, when they're looking at his clones, none of them have mustaches. And the guy that dies in the end, but then again, like, why would Moff Gideon not want to be in that badass armor like himself? Why would he let one of his clones have all the fun in the badass armor? I'm just saying that
for that very reason.
Yeah, that's the theory online, and I was just kind of like, huh. interesting theory. But then again, there's a lot
I
of
know you
theories on
should
the
have done
internet.
your job better.
Yeah, Mando, you may or may not have actually killed Moff Gideon. But I do agree with you. I would like to see him dead because I'm really just. You are right. Like Moff Gideon was pretty much a badass from start to finish. Like, why can't anybody just stay dead, and why can't anybody just really be a bad guy? So I hope Moff Gideon's arc is done. Like I said, next season I want it to be episodic. I feel like they spent 3 seasons building up and down Moff Gideon. I'm done. Like,
Because if we do another like Palpatine, like
Yeah.
another Snoke thing, I'm just like, okay, we're beating
well,
a
and
dead
like,
horse here.
man, like the Snoke thing is what bothers me the most in Star Wars, and like I still don't even know if I want. I mean, I do. I want to know who he is, where he came from, what he was, why they were cloning him, and all that kind of stuff. But I also know I'm not going to get the answer I want because when you look at Snoke, he looks like what Darth Vader looked like as he was dying with that big gash in his head. So I really wanted Snoke to be an attempted clone of bringing back Anakin Skywalker, and I know that's what I'm never going to get. So like I kind of don't want to know where Snoke came from, but at the same time, like who is he and why were they trying to clone him? Like like Moff Gideon figured out how to clone people. The Emperor eventually figured out how to clone people, but why do you have to go through a bunch of Snoke clones to figure out how to clone himself? Like, what was the logic behind any of? Like, I don't know, and I'm really overthinking it because that's what I do in life.
All right. So Drew, we're gonna wrap up.
Yep.
And one of the things that we do with any new person that comes and joins our crew and the guest here on Shane Talks is the Horowitz questionnaire, which started years and years ago from a friend of ours. And it basically just is a rapid fire of, we're going to ask you this question. You give us the top answer off the top of your head. And then we just go with it the best that we can. So
All right.
question number 1, Shane.
No, you do question number 1 because I get to ask the even questions.
Last one. Gotcha. Yeah. What is the first film you ever remember seeing, whether it was in the theater or ever at home? What can you remember as the first movie you ever saw?
In the theater that I can remember, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. So
Right on.
was like 94, 95-ish? How old would you
Somewhere
have
around
been?
that. I was I came home from church camp. Mom picked me up, and then we went to Olive Garden for lunch, and then we saw the matinee of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
That's
Probably
awesome.
went to Clearwater.
No, we went to the one out in Washington Street.
Oh, Dollar Theater at the time.
Yeah, we went to the Dollar Theater. Yeah.
No, nice. Cinemark.
Yep.
Question number 2. What is your favorite film of all time?
Saving Private Ryan.
Ooh, that's a great cast. Good movie.
What is your favorite line of dialogue from a film?
Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Word. I like that. Question number 4. What film made you realize that film is an art?
To change
Honestly,
the world.
I would probably have to say What Dreams May Come.
Ooh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
After reading Human Faustus, not Human Faustus Project. Jeez, I always get this mixed up. Faustus.
Okay.
We read that in high school, and then we watched What Dreams May Come, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Is that the book that it's based on?
Yeah, it's pretty much based off of Faustus.
Awesome. Cool.
The 9 levels of hell, or whatever.
Gotcha. Very cool.
And that was just a very eye-opening movie for me.
What movie do you consider a guilty pleasure of yours?
Oh man, I was just thinking about that. Yeah,
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yep.
Dude, that's an all-time favorite. Come on, that's not a guilty pleasure. Oh my gosh. What was the thing? Oh, Bring It On.
Oh yes. Okay. All right. I'll be guilty with you with that one. I love that movie.
That's a guilty pleasure movie. Bring It On.
Right on. Who is your favorite actor or actress of all time?
Tom Hanks.
Perfect.
We've had that answer before.
Who's your favorite director of all time?
That's a good one. Off the top of my head, Spielberg.
Right on. Fableman's fan? Were you a fan of that movie?
Still haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Only heard amazing reviews though.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's three distinct stories in my opinion, and I enjoyed two out of the three of them. So it overall I really enjoyed the movie, but there was one story arc throughout the movie that I didn't so much care for. Question number 8. Who is your favorite movie character of all time?
Man, that's a tough one. Luke Skywalker.
Very, very appropriate answer.
Perfect. What is your favorite movie snack food that you have to have with you at the theater?
Besides popcorn?
Or it can
Snow
be
caps.
popcorn.
I mean,
Caps.
popcorn and snow caps.
Nice.
Do you mix them?
I used to. Got too messy with
And that is a question that most people have given us both a popcorn and a candy answer with it.
I mean,
And-
they're one in the same. So.
Absolutely. And the last question number 10. If this was the Drew Stafford movie, who would you want to be cast as Drew Stafford?
Tom Holland.
Oh, that is a great choice. Very, very good choice.
Very similar
Yeah,
attributes.
I could definitely see that for sure. Well, Drew, thank you so very much for chatting with us tonight, man. What?
Gentlemen,
You didn't throw in
I
the
had way
extra.
too much fun.
Oh, I didn't throw in the extra. So I always ask an extra question. Having
Oh.
Jason and I in your life off and on for the last 30-ish years, in the Drew Stafford movie, who would you cast as Jason and who would you cast as me?
Whether it's now or when you knew us then.
Yeah, either way.
Oh man. I would definitely go. Oh yeah, Jack Black for Jason,
Oh, nice. I like that.
and the guy that plays Beard for you.
Oh, I definitely love that.
Oh.
Brendan Hunt. I'm 100%
Both now and then. Both now and then. Absolutely.
Perfect.
I love that. Jack Black and Brendan Hunt for supporting
Yep.
cast. I'm
Absolutely.
a huge fan. All right, man. Well, dude, thank you
Young
so
Jack
much for
Black
joining
would work
me.
for me too. So
What was that?
I said young Jack Black would work for me too. So I'm good. I'm good either way. So
Absolutely.
Man.
Man, Drew, I know it was kind of last minute that we got you on here. I'm so happy you were available and were willing to do it, man. It was a blast chatting with you. I hope all is going well down there for you, the wife, the eventual dog. I don't really care about your cat. I'm sorry.
She's literally looking at me like, what the hell did he just say?
For all of our listeners, thank you for joining us for our 4th annual May the 4th episode. May the 4th be with you.
Schwartz is as big as mine.